let's go. I really got the feeling today that everything is going my way. Now this is what I'm talking about. Every time I see your smile, it makes me shout. Let's go! Let's go! Nothing's gonna stop us today. Get on the bus or get out the way. We're cruising with the radio on. So turn it up to 10. Here comes our favorite song. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Welcome to another episode of IoT Tuesday. I'm yours truly, Samuel Adrani. It's been a hectic day. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit out of place. Forgive me for that. It's an awesome Tuesday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn, wherever you find yourself. This is the IoT Tuesday show. Today, I'm going to be taking you a step further from where we left off last week. Uh, Drawing shapes, drawing, writing strings and stuff to the real stem now. Today, we're going to explore um, ways to create, to kind of like load images, to create some shapes, to work with some fonts, and then show how we can use some of the Wheels Stemna APIs for creating like a clock and stuff like that. Hopefully, time will permit us to do that. So, with that said, let's let's get our intro. So we are back. If you're just joining us, this is IoT Tuesday with yours truly, Samuel Adrani. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Operation 10,000K this 10,000 subscription this quarter. You can do that. It's absolutely free. And when you do that, hit the bell so that anytime I release any video, you will be the first to know. So, as you always know, we get some things out of the way before we get started. First off, let's take you to the screen. First off, I think this deserves, let's get drum roll, get our applause. Yes. So, for the very first time on IoT Tuesday, we're going to have our very first guest. And he is somewhat, if you've been following IoT, especially on the Microsoft side, you should know this person. So, next week episode on IoT Tuesday, we're going to have a conversation, kind of like, not an interview, just a conversation, and then look at some new things coming up. And with that said, so next week on the IoT Tuesday show, yes, we will be having a conversation with Olivier from he's a principal program manager at Microsoft, specifically on the IoT side of things. So we would be having a conversation with him on Azure Percept and then the need to simplify IoT. So make a date with us next week. Don't forget this, mark it on your calendar, and join us next week, for this awesome session on the IoT show. So, the next thing, so congratulations to, I'll give it to Maxwell. So Maxwell was the person who got the mystery object in the shelf, got it correct. So Maxwell, you get a kit from me. Now, a couple of amendments to the game. All right. So what I have decided to do going forward is I realize some people either were not following or were not part of the show. So to even make to spice things up a bit, this time around, the code for the the thank you very much. The code for the giveaway. This time I'm going to give you two codes. One at the beginning of the show and one at the end of the show. Now, I'm saying at the end of the show, but it doesn't mean it's going to be at the tail end of the show. It could be somewhere before the end, somewhere in the middle of the show. But I'll always give you two codes. Two, two codes in each show. Now, so what you need to do, first of all, you need to subscribe to the channel, and then you're going to take the two codes, combine it, and I will tell you what to do with the code in each episode. In today's episode, you are supposed to add the two codes. Add them. They're actually two numbers. So you're going to add those two numbers, and that will form your code. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you get the two codes, add them, and then tweet the code and the mystery object in the shelf today. So don't forget that. So keep your just that's a very basic rule. So as we move on, as we move on, I will be introducing the codes, and then you so as you've joined us, once we get started, the first code will come. I'll prompt you when the first code comes up, and then you can pick that. So the first announcement is here, Olivier is coming on the show next week, so make a date with us next week. The second thing is we have the Global IoT Security Summit happening May 6th, 5 p.m. So you can join 5 p.m. Pacific, sorry, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So the Global IoT Security Summit is happening, and you make sure you join. Um, the second thing is also Ability Summit is going to start from May 5th to 6th, 2021. Make sure you subscribe to that as well. And like I mentioned, Olivier is coming to talk about Azure Percept and the need to make IoT simple. That's next week. And also don't forget my Tech on Wheels show, project. We're taking technology to the deprived places all across the country and even beyond. So if you're interested, hit me up at any of my social media handles and I'll respond to you with more info. So in today's episode, we'll start from font, migrate all the way to some shapes and stuff. We'll be using a lot of libraries. And I'll put the working with images at the latter part because I need to load um, some images on the SDK, and for some reason the SDK decided to vanish on me just before the stream. Hey, what? Welcome, Edward. So, the question is, what if you are not on Twitter? Yeah, if you're not on Twitter, that's fine. You can also do the same thing on comment. So a comment on a video, just comment on a video with the same thing. So the code, comment with the code, and then the how do you call it? The mystery item you saw in there. So that's how you're gonna do that, right? So I guess that's with that out of the way. Welcome, Edric. Welcome, returning. I owe you a shirt from another show, so we're gonna link up, and I'm gonna get that for you. So before we get into it, as you always know, a couple of things I want to share with you. Let's go to the bench. So we have a few things coming in. Yep, and then so we have our LoRa E5 development kit. If you don't know what LoRa is, it's like uh long range one, all right, that uses ultra low power consumption with that you can send packets across. So we have this dev kit coming in from Seed Studio, and disclaimer, this is not a paid promo or anything. This kit I bought with my own money. So we'll be unboxing, we'll be testing it out. I'll be doing a couple of LoRa test mesh around my area. So if you're interested, keep watching the show, subscribe, and I'll be doing a separate unboxing. Today I'm just going to show it to you. I'll do a different unboxing and then upload, and you can take a look at that. The next thing I want to talk about is the Groove Beginner Kit for Arduino. So this also is, if you look at the back here, um, we actually have temperature and humidity sensor. We have the 3 axis accelerometer. We have air pressure sensor. So it's just a bunch of sensors on this board, all right, that we're going to use. Okay, we're going to use this. We'll try to connect some of it to the wires terminal. So again, this will happen when we're doing the hardware, connecting hardware to the wheels terminal. We're going to use something like this. And then, oh, and it's already out. This is very tiny. So I'm finding a hard time to pronounce this, but it's like is this Zio or Zero or something? So this is the Seed Studio. They call it the Zio board. This tiny board here has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. All right, on the board. Sorry, you're not seeing it. Yeah, so like this tiny thing here has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi capabilities on it. So you can imagine if you're building a project and you need something of a very small footprint but still the power of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, you can use this kit. I have a couple of them that we'll be using. Now accompanying them is how do you call it? Let's do this. Is this kind of like breakout board here that allows us to connect it this way. So you can actually connect it here, and then you can also now connect some groove sensors to it and do whatever you want to do with it. So watch out for this as well. This will probably, after we finish with the how do you call it? We finish with this the YU terminal stuff. All right. So, yep. I think there's one more thing we need to talk about before we jump into things, and pardon me, just want to share this with you guys. So let's put this here, and then this also is kind of like another this is a breakout or like an extension. So right here, so yeah, also same here, but this kind of like, it has an OLED on it here, and it also has 1, 2, 3, 4 groove kits, and you can mount, your Zio or Zio, however that is here. It packs a bunch of sensors also on board already that we can use. So be on the lookout for this. So these are the new kits we have that we will be onboarding. So before we get started, like I promised, this is today's first code. This is today's first code. As you can see, this is it. This is today's first code. Rules here: subscribe to the channel, tweet the code and a mystery item. So this is the first code. The second code is going to come somewhere in the stream. So the first code, there you go. All right, so let's get into it. So last week we talked about how to draw lines, draw strings, and do all that. So let me position this well. Let's go to the bench, and let me bring this down. That's not a bench, that's my desktop. All right, so hopefully we can get this to the point where, yep, you can see it well. So what you're seeing here, actually, let me move this. Let's move it a bit closer this way so we can get. So what you're seeing now is we just written hello world two different ways. All right, let me bring my thing here to see if it would focus. I think that's okay. So this is just basically hello world, all right, written on the Windows terminal, all right, and as basic as it is, we're going to go through the code. I'll explain it. I'll show you how to do that, and then we'll move on to the next thing we want to do in terms of graphics. We're still working on the LCD. We'll move on to the IO and move on to other stuff. All right, so let's go to the code right here. All right, so we are familiar with this. We've seen this in the previous episodes. The new thing here is to include the freeform. Now, there is a gotcha or a trap here. If you're not careful, you might fall into. You need to find out when you installed your libraries for the wheel terminal. All right, when we went to tools, board manager, and then install the wheels terminal, it it by default installed the library by default installed all these things like the font, free font associated with it. Okay, it installed all that associated with it. So if you want to use it, you might have an issue where it says it's finding multiple libraries. Okay, to avoid this issue, what you need to do is find where the font is. And mine, I think so. Hold on, if I no, that's not it. If I remember very well, let's see. I think mine was in documents. Let me try to open. Let's open that so I show you. So mine, I believe, was in document Arduino libraries. Yes, and then so you can see seed Arduino LCD master. So let's do this. Let's open Zoom it so we can use the Zoom it. There you go, right? So here you can see all the you can pretty much see all the stuff here. So if you go to examples, all right, and then you do 320 by 240, remember that is the dimension of the wheels terminal we are using. Okay, you see a lot of examples here, right? Different examples. But at the top, you should see this all free font demo, all free font demo. All right. Now go to the all free font demo, and then this is what you want to copy, the free font header file, right? You want to copy this. So copy this file and then bring it into how do I call it? Bring it into the sketch, the folder, okay? The folder where you have your sketch for. So in my case, you realize that if I go here to the IoT wheels basic, you see that I actually have it here in my sketch so that it can easily reference that header file for all the fonts that I need. If you open it up, okay, let me be curious and just open this up in Sublime Text so I can show you that. So all you can see here, let's bring Sublime Text here so you can see. If you look at this, they are defining font sizes or numbers. All right, and then you can see FM9 is free font 9 point, FM12, FM18. So you see they are defining. So you have a few ways to define the font, which we'll see how to do shortly. Either calling it by, this preceded by the ampersand, free font, bold, oblique, 9 point or 12 or 18 or 24 point, or you can just say FSB09. So this is just like a very basic header file that is defining, setting of the font, bold, and stuff like that. All right. So let's do this. Let's close this and take this out of here. So that's what I included, and now because that is already included, I can now go ahead and then you know add this to my script. Now there are few ways you can access, like I mentioned. The first way, obviously, once you've included it, you use the set free font here. All right, use set free font, and then there are three ways actually you can call it. The first way is, like I mentioned, the ampersand, and then free for free font. This is for sans serif or sans, and then it's bold. Oblique is kind of like italic, as you might want to call it, and then the points, 12 points. So I think you have 12, 24, 28, and 32. All right, so this is the first way you can call it. So if you look at this, all we are doing is setting the font and the point, setting the text color, and then the string we want to draw. So with all this set, anytime we draw the string, the above settings is picked, right? Then the next one, as you can see, I'm using the second way of calling it. All again, set font. I'm saying what? Free font 12, which is just basically mono 12, all right, at this position with the color blue. So if you go back and you see that these are just the two things I have here represented. So the first one is hello world in red. The second one is what? Mono 12 points based on that setting. Okay. The third way I can do it. Let's go here. The third way I can achieve it is to say, let's do this. So TFT, all right, dot again set free font. And this time around, I can just go ahead and say use the symbol. So free font, sans serif, all right, bold, oblique, and then I can say, um, let's still do 12, all right. So I have set the font, and then the next thing I'll do, just for separation, I'll set another color, and then let's use something like yellow. And then I'm going to copy, no, let's just type it. So tft dot, in this case here, I'll say what? We are drawing what? String, which is what we want to write. So what do we want to write here? Well, let's just say we want to write, let's do this, let's do that. Yeah, let's just say, sans, right? Sans 12 PT. All right. And where do I want it to start? I want all of them to start at the same X position, but this time I want the Y to be, let's say, 55. All right. I save this. I check the code, make sure that everything is working perfectly. And then once that passes, I would upload it or push it onto our Wheels terminal. So let's wait for it to combine. Compile. Why did I say combine? Yep, that's done. So now I can actually upload it. And if that loads, let's go back to the bench. And you should see that a new one has just come right under it. Sans 12 point. All right. Now maybe that's not. Maybe the 12 is not that much. So let's do. Let me do like maybe 24. All right. And let's say, let me increase the Y a bit so that I can see spaces. So let's say, so this is what I have done. All right. All the changes I have done is I've just increased the size to 24 and then changed the Y to 60 so I can have some space between it. All right. So this saved. I'll just go ahead and deploy this. Now, so whilst that's happening, so like I mentioned, you can reference so let's go to the bench to see the new changes. Okay, there you go. So now you can see sans 12, mono 12, hello world. So this is how you can work with the font settings and all that, okay, for your Wheels terminal. Now, like I mentioned, you can use, so the F represents free font. You can use M for mono, SS for sans serif, or just S for serif, B for bold, O for oblique, I for italic. And then if you don't specify any point, all right, you can specify 9, 12, 18, 24. All right. So I could say that I want a free serif, all right, bold, well, not oblique, but then I can do something like, yeah, 24. So let's see, and let's change this to green. Save this and publish. Now, a little tip about the giveaways. Now, whilst whilst the code is building, so you see that now it changes to sans serif. Okay, sorry, sans, not serif, sans, and then 12 point. All right, so that's how you work with fonts. Now, one thing about the giveaways, be mindful of the color coming from this hue light here. Sometimes the question for the giveaway would be how do you how how do you use different text colors for a stream of text? So before I answer that, Maxwell, so like I mentioned, be mindful of the color hue coming from here. Sometimes the question I would ask would be what color hue and not necessarily what mystic or mysterious item found its way on the shelf. So just have that in mind. Now, so Maxwell, to answer your question, you might have to. So we are doing this in the setup. Okay, we are doing this in the setup. But if you want to alternate the colors, what will happen is that it might happen in the loop, and then you might either use a condition or something to set the color before you stream the text. You can say that, okay, for just a hypothetical example, you can say maybe for 5 seconds set color to green and then write, and then after that set color to blue and write something else. All right. So you can write something, delay, and write another thing. Actually, um, let's try to do this. Okay. So do you see this? Let me copy the whole of this. Let me copy the whole of this. Actually, let me cut it. So, and then in the loop, I'm going to put this here. All right. So when this does, all I'm going to do is add a delay of, let's say, 3 seconds. Okay, another delay of 3 seconds, and then another delay of 3 seconds. All right, let's do this. So now you will notice. Oh, sorry. So I didn't show you what I did. So this is what I did. So I copied all the text change and all that. I copied all that and then brought it here into and brought it into the loop here. So you see that in the loop we have this, right? We have this here, we have this, and then we have this. Is that okay? So what I said, so let's with this, what is happening is that this would happen, okay? We'll set the font, and then we'll display this for, let's say, 300 seconds, and then this one would come, and then this one will come. Now, it's not streaming, but it's just looping through and doing it sequentially. All right. So if I went back to the bench right now, let's see. Let's change this. Let's do this. Pa, 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 pa. Just to show how that would work. So let me show you what I'm doing first. So what I want to do is after I set it to red and wait for the 300 seconds, I want to write nothing, right? I don't want to. Now ideally would be to, let's see, would be to either clear the screen, all right, would be to clear the screen and then maybe put something else on it. But let's just assume this, all right? So what I'm doing is that I reset it, I clear the screen, and then for the purposes of this, I am going to, and I'll make sure that, let's do this. I'll make sure after the delay, I'm clearing the screen all the time. I'm clearing that point. And then let's say that for all the other things, we are putting it at the same place. All right, this looks crazy, but just stick with me. All right, so let's deploy this. And then let me take you to the bench for you to look at what's going to happen. So you realize that it would start with a red for like 3 seconds, and then it would wipe itself. So you see that one, hello world, it should clear that. You see that? So it's the mono, and then the next. Okay, so it didn't clear that. Yeah, I needed to clear instead of drawing nothing there. It's already there, so I should have used clear. But I think you get the concept. So if I had cleared it, what's going to happen is that it would clear the first one, all right, and then the second one will be rating over, and the third one will be rating, so that is how you would, something like that is how you would go about, about doing it. So let's do this. Let's bring, let's undo our code so that we have everything back to where it was. Yep, awesome. So I hope, Maxwell, I hope that answered your question. If it didn't, let me know, and then I will try to answer that for you. All right, so let me actually load this so we can have that. So let's talk about some of the API, the LCD APIs that comes already with the Wii U terminal. Okay, I want us to do this before we take a look at the lines and and all the other stuff. So if we want to, the easiest way to start to look at how to do some of these things is to go to File, go to Example, and then look for Seed Studio. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? There you go. Seed Arduino LED. Select the 320 by 4 to 240, sorry. And then you can see all these examples. So hold on, let me zoom this in for you to see. You can see all the examples: pie chart, ellipse, matrix, Pong, print test, read, spiral, like different example. All right. So let's try a very basic one. So let's do the arch fill. So I'm going to File, Example, and then let's go all the way to the Seed LCD 320 by 240. And then let's do the TFT arch fill. So as you can see, it's just going to open up an example, and there you go. We've included it. TFT, we have this, invokes our library, we set it up, it's defining. So this, you can take time to analyze this code, but pretty much this is just setting up. We've seen this before. It's just, as you can see, fill arc. It's using the basics we learned last week: fill arc, draw circle, draw all these things, and then it's doing some mathematics and all that, doing some delay. So I don't want to bore myself with this. So let's check this code. It's there for you to go check out. I'm just going to show you how to implement this. So we'll look at a few of it. We'll look at the spiral fill. We'll look at the clock, and then maybe some digital, and then we can move to we'll take a look at the histogram and the line graph. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this is that you have this LCD and you can pretty much do stuff with it. So if you understand how this works, okay, or the examples that are being given work, you are better off, creating any custom UI as you want. That's why I'm very interested in sharing this. So you can, use it, because once you start reading sensor data, you want to do stuff. Now let's go to the bench. Now check that out. Isn't that cool? So this is pretty much drawing ellipses, drawing arcs, changing colors, setting colors, and you are doing this. All right. So if you look through the code, if we go and sniff through the code, you will see that, yeah, well, yes, a bunch of maths related stuff, but that doesn't mean, you should cram this math. Oh, you mean how do you use two or more colors to output a single text stream? Yeah, I think you can do that. Let me finish this and then we can tackle that. Just give me a few minutes. Let's finish and we can tackle that. So as you can see, this is the spiral. Um, let's look at another example quickly. All right, so we can go to File, Example. We have the seed 320 by 240, and then we can do I think I want to do where is the clock? Yes, the TFT clock. So this also opens it up, and then you can just run and upload that. And I think we can look at a cool one. Maybe we can look at the matrix one before we try to answer Maxwell's question. So okay, no, we'll do that fill spiral. All right. So let's go here. We'll do the fill spiral and then we'll do the matrix. So now check this out. Now you have what? A timer, a clock, and which is the same thing. This is like draw line and then so this has been drawn. If your math is good, you realize that you can put this together to build this kind of things. But some people have created a library already, which you can use by passing in parameters, all right? And that's what we're using. But this is how you would include a clock into it if you want. These are pre-made for you. So let's quickly take a look at the, um, let's see, let's do the matrix, okay? That'll be the last example we'll do, and then we'll try to tackle Maxwell's question. So again, let's go here. Let's go to file, examples. Let's go to our seed Arduino LCD 320 by 240. And then let's do the matrix. Where is it? TFT matrix. Okay, let's bring this here. And that might be very complicated, but I think I want to see this. So let's upload this and let's switch to the bench and wait to see that. So almost done. And that is loaded, and check that out. There is some matrix going on the there is some matrix going on right there. All right, and look at that. Or maybe I should turn it this way because I don't think you're seeing the matrix. Anyway, let's put it back here. So yep, there you go, some matrix happening there. All right, so let's come here and try to answer Maxwell's question. So Maxwell, if I get you correctly, let's close all these things and go back to if I get you correctly, you're trying to find out if you want to output a single text, all right, but you want to use different colors. Is that not it? So you need to do some little calculation there, all right. And where I didn't connect my tablet today. Anyway, so let me try to illustrate this. Um, let's do this. Let me open this here and let's try to walk through this. All right. Now, going off of this diagram we said, I mean, for now, let's just assume that, let's clear the canvas. Okay, let's just assume this here is our, okay, good. Let's actually use this. Let me pick a pen here. All right. So let's say this is our starting point. All right. Let's say this is our starting point. Oh, you know what? Just give me a sec. Let me get my tablet because the app will not respond to my mouse because it's not a pen. So let me quickly connect my tablet. Hopefully this should just work fine. There we go. All right, cool. So that's fine. Okay. So Maxwell, this is what, so assuming that this point here, all right, let's take this. So let's say assuming this is this point here, or this particular point is our 0 0. All right, this is our 0 0. So let me wipe this. Great. So let's assume this point here is our 0 0. All right, where our text will flow this way and then what? This way. Does that make sense? So in the question you're asking is assuming I want to write some more. So that would be, let's say, S A M, all right, and then U, let's say E, and then L. Is this what you're talking about, Maxwell? This is what you want to do, right? Now, if my assumption is correct, that will mean that, let's assume that this here, let me use a neutral color, green. Okay, so let's assume that this is 10 and this is 20, right? And then, okay, awesome. Thanks for that confirmation. And this is 30 and this is 40 and this is 50 and then finally 60. All right. And the same thing here, we say this is 10 and then this is 20 and so on. But we can at least deal with this one. So if I wanted to write this S, just type an S. I know I am starting from where? 0, right? 0. I'm starting from here. But then here, I want it to go what? 10. Is that okay? So it will start from here and end at 10. Is that not it? So the same thing. But if I want to use this for SAM, that means I'm going all the way from here, in the case, let's say 30. Then when I do this, I know that currently I am at position 30, right? Then I will change the color and let it start from 30 and continue. Is that okay? So let's do this. So with this analogy, if you understand this analogy, let's go back and do that. So in our code here, this is the setup we are. Okay, so let's pick a standard, let's pick a standard color and then use. So let's say let's use this one and do 24. All right, and then we're going to start with red and then end with blue. Okay, so I want to start with the 3 SAM. All right, now this I'm saying start from 1010. Is that okay? Start from position 1010. We understand this. So after it has rating some, we now want to change. Let's use the same. Let's just use the same. Let's not change the font. Let's not change the font. So let's use the same font. All right. However, all we are doing is changing the color, and this time around writing UEL. And again, now we are not starting from X. So this will be one thing we need to know. This is where the math comes in. We need to know, okay, how many spaces this way, how many spaces on the x-axis is this sum going to take? All right, we can estimate and say, okay, well, on the x we can start from 10. All right, but then the y, let it go a bit forward. Actually, I'm going to push the x forward. So let's assume that I'm going to assume that each letter takes 10 pixels. I'm just assuming that each letter takes 10 pixels. So if each letter takes 10 pixels, then SAM will take what? 30 pixels. Then the next one should begin from where? X and then continue. Is that okay? So, and then we can do we can let it go the same way as 10. Let's just try this. And then that color is what? That color is blue. So we don't need this third one. I hope I'm making sense, Maxwell. Because if you're assuming that each character, all right, is taking 10 pixels, then SAM will take 30 pixels. Then the next position for X would be that change. So let's go to the bench and see if we achieved it. Okay. So do you see what's happening? Oh, sorry. So do you see what's happening here? So it actually wrote over it. So which means we need to adjust our X. So I thought that each one was 10 pixels, but considering it only moved away from the S, then my guess is probably let's say each space is so let's say 20, 40, 60. So let's adjust the X for the next set. So let's say let's move you to 80 and see. So this is where the math comes in. I'm sure we can put the math together and do this to calculate each pixels, each square, and then it will be much easier. I'm going right now off a manual process, but what you can, I'm sure that if I set my mind to it, well, I can come up with kind of like an algorithm that can determine, okay, each character is this pixel long. So if there are 6 characters in it, I'm getting a multiple of X pixels. All right. Okay. So you see what's happening. So now I can tell. Right now I can tell that with the font point I have, each character is 40 pixels square. Each character is 40 pixels square. All right. So let's come to the bench. Let me explain it. So from what I have gathered, let's go to our. Let me explain it. So I have realized that based on I think I can go ahead and wipe this, so that we can do this properly. So I realized that each character based on the font settings I have. Yes, I'll share the code. I just want to walk through. I've realized that if this point here, all right, let's do red. Okay, if this point here, which is our starting point, is 0, 0, 0 for x and y, right? I have realized that writing Samuel, okay, this is actually 40. So A is what? 80. Does that make sense? So from 0 to 40, that's where the whole of S. And then from 40 to 80 is A. All right. So M will be another what? 40, which will give us 120. Is that okay? So if I change the color, UEL. So the next, I can change the color and tell it to start from where? 120. All right. So now let's go to the code and then make these changes. So here, as you can see, I will start from 80, sorry. I'm starting from where? 120. So let's save this and publish. So it's a bit tricky, all right, when you're dealing with not if you that's why I'm saying that look, go back to the basics. You can put a graph paper there and then there you go. So if you go to the bench, voila, we've solved the problem. So we now have Samuel written in 2 colors. So this is quite simple. If you're stuck, all right, the best thing I would advise is you can get how do you call it, graph paper, all right, and just try to scribble some of these things pictorially before you get it into code. But like I said, if I look at, I'm using 24 points, all right. If I go and look at this pixel calculation properly, I know that S is rating, let's say each font point is 24. So ideally I can work things out and say it's going to take like each pixel, its letter is taking 40, like 40 pixels, all right, and therefore SAM, that is 40 times 3, that is 120 pixels. So SAM is going to occupy 120 pixels. So if I want to continue with the UEL, I have to start from the end, which is the 120 pixels going forward. Is that okay? I hope that answered your question, Maxwell. Awesome. Well, it looks like we are 6 minutes away on the top of the hour. Unfortunately, I couldn't do the histogram on the line. Let's pick it up in the next episode. I'm trying to stick to time religiously uh, lately. So what we'll do is that let's pick this up. I would put this in a blog post and show you how to do that so you can read on it. Or I might just do a quick video and then yeah, I might do just a quick video and then you can pick it up from there. So without much ado, thanks for sticking with me. But before we go, like I mentioned, like I mentioned, this is the second code for the giveaway. The first one came somewhere in beginning of today's episode. This is the second one. So if you watched it to this point, today's direction is add the first number to this number, all right? And then the total of what you get, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. You can either comment it, which will be this number plus the first number, that one, and you put a space and then the mystery object you see on my shelf. And then we'll see who wins for this episode. Last week's session, Maxwell got it correct. So Maxwell, I owe you a kit. I'll have that sent to you. With that said, kindly subscribe to this channel if this content was useful to you. If you feel this is something that can help you learn a lot about IoT, and also with all the unboxing and stuff coming, kindly subscribe to the channel. Let's go. If you have any questions, comment below, tweet at me, send me a message. I'll try as much as possible to answer them. Without further ado, stay safe, stay positive, and then, hey, let's have some fun. Without much, I am out, and this has been Samuel Adrani.